kind of bumpy on an intro. I'll just kind of start it off and then transition over to everybody.
Yeah, we just kind of intro, what's the name of the podcast again? Untold Truths.
Welcome back to the Untold Truths podcast. I am one of the three hosts, Tesfan Halu. We got Raji Eid, Abdifata Abdullahi.
That's right.
And today we got a very, very special guest, Jason Vastine. We're going to get a little bit into just about things breaking, and but just we're going to get a little bit into the history of Jason Vastine, how we initially met, and just talk about the crazy things that has happened in his journey overall with respect to, food manufacturing, some leadership stuff, the crazy chaotic things that happen in food manufacturing overall. Jason, welcome to the podcast. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
and
very long time.
And I am 100% glad that you are one of the very first guests that we're having on here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, let's just start from the beginning here, right? So, I don't want to tell a story, but how did we meet you? How do we kind of all get connected? Just go ahead.
I think I was yelling at a forklift driver at a bakery, and I think that's how it began. I think that was like day 2 at a food manufacturing facility. Dude had parked underneath the waterfall. Literally a waterfall. There's like ceiling leaks in facilities and everything like that. And this guy, all I knew was this was like really expensive equipment, big turret lift, and it was wire guided, remote control. We don't even know, but like this guy pulls out of the freezer and like intentionally parks it below this waterfall, and I've never seen anything like that. I admit I lost my cool a bit. Like, what the bleep are you doing? How do you get off that and like walk away from it when you know that's going to cause damage? And so. Yeah, that's back at the new French bakery where Raji and I first worked together.
You dropped the name, that's
dropping
right.
the names right now.
We gotta edit that out or...
chasing waterfalls.
Oh, man.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, definitely. I was like that guy. He's no nonsense. No nonsense at all. That was an interesting day, to say the least. So, yeah.
That whole room was so nasty. I mean, it was all black molded out.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, constant roof leaks.
Close that down.
No, 100%, for sure. Yeah, that's how it started. It's one of the many journey points. Got to know Jason around that time, and had a really good relationship. A lot of I have a handful of mentors, and we had one of the last podcasts. I can look at him as a mentor too as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he is JV. I learned a lot.
Just for clarity purposes here, were you the one who's getting yelled at?
No,
I was
not. I was behind him like, holy shit, what's going on here? No. It was like one of those aha moments. We had a couple moments like Audi 2s, let me be very clear, in the realm. Just so everyone knows, like, I have seen it come out of Audi 2, but this is like, because I've never seen, like, I was in awe, like, we walked into this room, it's just like, what the? It's like, you're just casual guys just walking around. It's like this wire's just coming down. It's like, yeah, that's not good. And the RT era is right here. It's like right in the middle. It's like, it's not good at all. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was not the one that, but I was in the back just like, yeah, this is good stuff right here. Yeah. He really cares. He really cares, man. And people who care, you see it. Right, it's not only passion; it's through actions, and I think that's very, very important because like we always talk about, food safety is not it's a real thing, right? And environmental issues and everything else ties into that, and you can't be having roofs leaking, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's an important one. Yeah. But that's how we first met, and it's been a lot of good things since, I would say, over the years.
Long journey,
absolutely.
That's like 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
16. Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's
It's
crazy.
been a long time, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So transitioning from the initial kind of like, inception of meeting and stuff like that, obviously transitioning to, when you left and got a different position and all that, like you were, like we ended up reconnecting through an opportunity that you ended up, throwing out there and say, hey, can you guys do this? Like, what's up with this? So
I mean, it's good to note that you had a huge,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to put it in words, like impact how it's picked up, right?
Yeah.
The idea was actually thrown out there. Yeah.
Very first.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Inception starts.
Well, let's be clear. The very first gig was at a
Oh yeah, the project.
a project at a private school for a gala, right? That was like
That was the very first project.
The actual first contract, to be clear, which from a business perspective.
But that's what counts. Is the
Yes.
contract? That's what counts.
Yeah,
Not the
100%.
side gigs on the side really didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But I think it was the contract, and I think that's how you and I met. Is when we were doing the initial tour of the facility. You know, that's when we kind of got
Absolutely.
introduced and everything like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So it's huge to have you here and just basically take part in the journey of like the evolve from where you were to where we actually at today. So thank you.
Yeah. We gotta air that out. That's the first phone call. Jason. Yeah, this is what's going on currently right now. Oh, interesting you call. This is really weird. Actually, we could definitely come on out. So it was like like it was interesting. So that definitely like so. Anyways, to get the viewers and audience listening like context, like Jason's been a huge part of Eads growth when it comes to like strategy and everything else. So I think that's got to shout that out too as well. It's important. So.
Absolutely. So now, through a lot of those, opportunities that we've got, we've learned a lot. But I want to throw the ball in your court as you've navigated, your career and stuff like that. Just give us a little taste of like what is like one of the things that like one that's been consistent that you've learned, and then two like just one huge thing that was like a big issue that was just very difficult to solve.
One lesson that has guided you through the way through till today still guides you.
People first.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk for hours and hours about that alone, right? But like as I joined the leadership ranks and made that decision early in my career, and was kind of I did it because honestly I was working with some people, and I remember her name was Allison. She was my supervisor at the time, and this is back in the day at a Nestle facility, and I was struggling. I was working with somebody, just trying to get my job done, honestly. and I went to Allison. I'm like, this guy is a senior manager. I can't remember. He was senior manager, director. And honestly, I just needed some paperwork from him. Like I was in quality. I was working on packaging and packaging validation, and just trying to guarantee that what we were packaging in met specifications and requirements. And the way they were situated, there was kind of like an outside pillar, and I was in the factory, and then there was like this overlayer that was outside of the factory. Anyways, working with this guy, his name's Bob, and I go to Allison, I'm like, Allison, Bob will not give me the information. Like all dude needs to do is literally send me an email. I know he has the information, like he's got the paperwork, whatever it is, and he's just an asshole. And I'm like, I can't, and this goes on for like months. And I'm like, I have to get this job done. It was one of those times where like, love this, we can talk about that, but very good review system where you have balanced scorecard, cascaded metrics, you've got very deeply connected right to the performance review. I'm like, this thing is on my performance review. My bonus is directly impacted by this. If I don't get this done, I don't get my paper. And like, how do I deal with this? And she's like, well, and it was the first time I kind of ran into that in my career where I was like, how is somebody at that level, so again, senior manager, director, such an asshole? And I'd always grown up, I mean, my favorite band growing up was like Rage Against the Machine. And it's hard to like toe that line of somebody that wants to, revolutionary thinking, wants to make change. And you get into what we'll call it corporate America or corporate life, and you realize very quickly, like, you're going to be put in a box. If you step outside that box, you better be prepared for consequences, good and bad. But I'd not really run across somebody like that before. And I'm like, if that guy can do it, and I was studying for my MBA at the time and made that decision earlier on. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to be a leader, if I want to be a manager, I want to not be that. I want to be somebody that helps to help others reach their goals, as this guy was standing directly in front of my goals. So I think that's like when we talk about the people side of things and that decision to move into leadership, it's how do you help others reach their goals? And if we're individually reaching our goals in great organizations, those have descended down from a strategic higher level goal. I think that rings true today, and we can talk about, current times, present life, and jobs in those regards, but you got to have people first, and having the right people, and then, helping them reach their potential. I think that is the name of the game, and still try to continue to do that to this day. Challenges are different everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of the first step.
Man, so out of dealing with the people that you've had, once you've transitioned into that leadership role, getting over that hump or whatever it is, what's one issue that you kind of ran into with dealing with people, and how have you been able to resolve those issues and help those people get to their goals?
I think right now one of my difficulties in different aspects of life, right? But you can put on paper and you can ace an interview, and now you can run your resume through AI and have like perfect. You look great on paper. You're the perfect candidate. God, I have another story back before that from Cargill too about a guy named John that his resume was full of lies, and he got a lot of jobs with his resume full of lies. I'm like, so it's always rang in the back of my head. But I think finding the right people and then selecting and hiring has become such a challenging thing in the modern workplace. I'm sure you all experience it too, but you find somebody, even if you think that they're gilded and ready to go, they're the perfect candidate for that role, for that position, and a week later, a month later, 3 months later, like the colors come out, and you're like, that's different. How do you do all of it? And you gotta develop the person, and especially today, like workaholic, so it's like work-life balance, like it's just all work. So how do you take that modern way of working that we have, where work-life balance is just all together, and try to not just develop people professionally, but personally as well, and provide that space for them. Whether it's mental health, physical health, but you definitely have to give space as well as opportunity for people to develop on their own, and not at the same time bearing that cross fully on yourself, because it ultimately is up to the individual to do what's best for themselves. You can give people an opportunity, and they can squander that, and that also has weighed very heavily on my conscience over the years. Sometimes that people, you give them the reins and they don't want to take them, and you can't take that as your failure. But I've done that. I don't know. That's a challenge. Have you ever experienced something like that?
100%. I mean, just to piggyback off of just great resumes with bad characters / actions. We actually had someone was dealing with at one of our other customer sites recently, where it's this guy seemed like a perfect candidate, just world class. I've been here, I've been there, I've been all over the place. I've done everything you possibly think about, from a director level all the way down to a supervisor. But those actions, man, did not show. And sure enough, time calls everything. Say time heals everything, right? But in essence, in tandem with that too as well, time can also expose a lot of things. And that was interesting with that. But yeah, definitely when it comes to leadership stuff like that, having, dealing with people. I think people is the hardest challenge, right? It can be a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on, you gotta be patient. Right, it's like raising respectfully, and I come from a good place when I say this to be very clear. It's like dealing with kids, right? It's like an adult daycare, and it goes both ways. High level management to mid-level management to low level management, right? And then just to your team members, it goes up and down. So it's really gotta be patient to give them the keys to be successful. At the same time, kind of hold boundaries in place as well, because when you're dealing with people, you're gonna get emotions. You're gonna get I'm sick, and it's a reason why they're trying to replace the robots, right? I don't mean that literally. No, but it's they ain't gonna call in. They ain't gonna, none of that happens, right? Yeah. So it's you gotta be patient to make sure that you get the best out of people when you meet them. Like Avio says, we had the competition offline. It's meet them where they are, right? Yeah. You don't kick people when they're down. But at the same time, you kind of find a balance to make sure when when you're having those uncomfortable conversations. Remember, you and I had one a long time ago. Interesting facts, folks. The first write-up I received was from Jamie. I'm bringing it up. I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. No, but it's like, Jason was patient with me, right? You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot of developing to do, like a lot of growth, like a lot of, it's not, again, dealing with people, it's a process, right? You gotta, essentially, make sure, you, again, meet them where they are, right? Because people are not going to be perfect, but they can be consistent if you give them the opportunity to do so. So that's one of my methods. Like, I've dealt with all types of people from all types of walk of life, second chance employees, people who don't speak the best English language, very successful, but again, you meet them where they are, right? And there's different scenarios with that. We can go crazy with that, but that's kind of my philosophy, my method. But Abby, what about you? What do you think in regards to that?
No, I think people, like, there's no one size fits all when it comes to like human beings. Like, we're different. Brothers who are like related, siblings who live in the same household have different perspective on how they grew up, right? And I think as an employee, sometimes when we try to like put people in just in a piece of paper describing them, they come across very perfect. But once you meet them, you're going like, wait a minute. My perception of what you wrote on the piece of paper, which is a resume right now, really doesn't match the person who's sitting in front of me. Fun fact is, like, I had an interview where like I think I did 10 interviews and I met all the way to the vice president. And I was like, how did I get to this point for me to sit in front of the vice president, for me to actually be interviewed? I was confident in what I had to offer to as well. So I asked only one simple question, and that was question of how can I fit in your organization? And that they were like stunned by it. They were like, what do you mean? I was like, wait a minute, I'm interviewing for a job. Just the same way you want me to be in your organization, I gotta make sure that I fit that organization too as well. So you've done a beautiful thing describing how your organization is, but you haven't showed me how I fit in that organization. And I just had to walk away from it. And they were like, what? He does not. I was like, nope, you guys don't fit my culture, right? And I think sometimes people get stunned and like, oh my God, how did he do that? We just wasted our time. Well, you wasted your time, I wasted my time because I had to go all the way up here to go. So companies actually get offended when that happens, and sometimes it doesn't allow us. If you're looking for people, you better make sure that whatever you're bringing in, they fit in your organization too. We focus so much in like career goals. Do they have this experience? Do they do this? Do they do this? But the experience really is not gonna matter when you come to that environment. The environment dictates how you're gonna evolve and how much you're gonna, so we tend to lose that a lot. And I go like, no, how am I gonna fit in this? Am I gonna thrive here? Would I have the opportunities to succeed? If those are not there, then it's just gonna be like a failure to begin with, and you see all these different colors show up after the interview. So yeah.
So like it depends on the job, but like one of my like secrets of hiring, I walk and talk. Like I want to get people out on the floor. I want to see how they move. Yeah. Are they looking around? Are they just in their own little world? Like there's so many little things there that you watch the energy somebody kind of gives off, right? Like you get great resume, you're on the paper, you made it to the talking phase, you get to sit down and talk, but like it's about the walk more than anything. Like, I want to see like if you're just dragging ass behind and like not moving, like okay, if you're gonna bring that style, that level of energy to the job, like probably not gonna probably not gonna be the right place. Yeah. At least on my taste.
that talks to the point where it's like in this specific industry, food manufacturing, just like production related items, it's like you can't sit behind the desk as much as you want.
Oh, got to get on the floor.
And that's where you see the true reactions and response, urgency, whatever it is, to see like how they fare in those type of environments. Yeah. Because if it's chaotic in there, you got to be with it. Otherwise, bye-bye, right?
So remember, I think his name was Craig? Maintenance guy?
Yeah.
That guy amazed me. Like, Craig probably would not, like, normally make it through an interview process, right? Like, but he was an animal on the floor. Like, this guy was under conveyors, hands-on, and he was a manager level at the time, but, like, I had never seen anything like that from a maintenance manager, and I was like, this is shocking. And I've always thought about that to this day. I'm like, man, every maintenance position I've hired for or worked with, I'm like, God, if I could get a Craig, like he was very rough around the edges, but when it came to getting the job done and prioritizing the things that mattered most to the business on a daily basis, that guy
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. 100%.
He's still there, by the way.
Is he really?
He's still
No
there.
way.
He never came back.
Okay, all right.
In all fairness, he was phenomenal, and we've been blessed to cross paths with people, like-minded people like that, right? Because the reality is, like we always talk all the time, it's like the manufacturing industry is
brutal.
It's brutal, man. Like it's not as bad as meat though, to be clear, or poultry. But holistically, when it comes to like just what it requires from you, right? It's like its own world.
Yeah.
You have different like climates in there, you know what I mean? And then you still have the political stuff going on.
Yeah.
You have the operational functionality of things, like, and then you got to try to make all those things work. So it's a very interesting environment. It's not it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's literally built for tough. Don't be that guy.
I'm working at a place now where it's like they're manufactured, but they never really saw themselves as that. What a culture shock, right? Like you have a workforce that is executing all the time, and they are set up to fail. Like the whole business was like, yeah, operations will figure it out. Oh, we're gonna launch a new product. Who should we talk to? Not quality. Like why would we talk to quality? We're gonna talk to quality like after we launch the product. Oh, we got the stuff coming in to make it already. What? It's just, literally like somebody's showing up on the line and nobody's ever seen it before. How do you proof a label and make sure that what you're running is the right thing? And you've literally never seen it. And I'm like, holy cow. Yeah. The whole thing was structured.
It's
the product development process, the sales process. They forgot all about operations and supply chain. And you see, and I don't talk too much about it, but you see the desserts of that.
Yeah.
And that is the demise, honestly, of the manufacturing operations. The brands and the creative side will live on, but it's unfortunate to see it because if it was an afterthought and treated that way for many years, you can't rescue that after a while. It becomes the culture, it becomes the way of operating, and unfortunately that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Not at all.
With manufacturing being such a huge topic right now, we talked about like the silos of people. So it's a big company, but people work in silos.
Yeah.
So throughout that process, what is one thing that you'll be able, like right now with your experience and your background, what is one thing you would change or would like to fix to see change in the going in the future?
I'd like to think about my answers first.
More in generality.
Yeah, in general.
More in generality. So as an industry.
As an industry, I think, it's hard to pull out of like that experience I was just talking about, but designing for manufacturability, I think it's an easy thing to say. It's a more difficult thing to understand, but the presence of, we'll call it, and it depends on each organization, what you're making. So agnostic to that, injecting quality in engineering, like in my world, and I'm spoiled in this way, and I'm biased, I should say, I'm not spoiled, but I'm biased in this way. Like if I'm coming into an organization, I'm sales, I got a great idea, I went and sold it to a bunch of people, they want to buy it. The first people I'm talking to is going to be quality, because quality is going to be the clearinghouse that goes, okay, you need to talk to Tim over in engineering, you need to talk to this group over here. Quality is going to know how to connect all that because they're responsible ultimately at the end of the day for tidying it all up and tying it back together and being ready to defend that in an audit or any other circumstance. So again, I'm biased in that way, but I think quality and I should say engineering, I mentioned that as well, but those should be really upfront. And oftentimes the train leaves the station. We can get ahead of ourselves, sales, marketing, thinking of new ideas, how to sell. Everybody's under pressure to perform, but do you stop and come back and have a reliable source in that? And the plant can do it, plant manager, operations, like, don't get me wrong, but I got asked this question a lot recently of like, well, can we make this? Yes. The reality is, and to bring it to the modern age, we can literally make anything. We can 3D print things. Like we can conjure up ideas and have it printed on the table right here like 20 minutes later, right? So you want proof of concept, this can happen rapidly. But I think to get there and do that is that first step where we got to be able to like convene early and not let the train leave the station and leave everybody else in behind the dark and then throw the grenade over the fence to be like, okay, you guys got to figure this out, right? And then the pressure's on. And then knowing full scale of like, okay, supply chain gets it here, we get, the product in the door, operations, production manages to make it, and then who ends up paying the price on the back end? But distribution. And they're under pressure to deliver on time and say, okay, that whole system has to fit together. So I guess at the end of the day, the better answer would probably be more systems thinking. Broader understanding of the cross-functional business where it's not just sales, it's not just ops, it's not just marketing, but really like the whole system and how that works together. I think that's a missing piece in a lot of non-operations positions.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you 100%, but I'll go a little bit one step back. Instead of like, sales always bring the ideas, like the concept, and they talk to marketing, and marketing starts putting things into paper. But I think with one of our former bosses, I would say, what he did best that I think that worked the most is he will get an idea. He worked with the sales. He was a VP of ops.
Yeah.
He understands things are already starting to cook on this side, come back to operations, and say, what do we need to make this happen? And we'll sit there and go like, wait a minute, so quality, I'm already thinking, I need this. You need to have ingredients should be this, these are the specs. I'm already telling him what the requirements are on the production floor, so at least he takes that.
Yep.
And I think we did that with like tidbits is what they're called. Target needed.
Shout out to Alex Allen again.
This is what's happening. In 3 months, we are supposed to turn it around. But I think the thing that he did was like he came back to us during our food safety meeting and said, this is what they're talking about this. I don't know if this is realistic. I'm just going to throw it out there. So we put a bunch of things in paper before it started materializing. So financially too, they had to go back and, put all these things in place because they didn't know, we didn't think of this, we need this equipment, this machine and everything. We were sending people across, go look at that machine, they have it here. And in I want to say 3 months, we were able from the build to the finish line, we were able to, with operations being involved from the beginning, and we took things as we were going to as well. So
it breaks my heart because I hear so often too, and I started off in quality, and it was quality gets the doctor no.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to see your brilliant ideas die, go talk to quality. It's like, no, again, it's the opposite way. I think that there actually is a lot more innovation and new product development that can come out of the factory or off the floor and innovate through operations if we're given the microphone, the opportunity to actually talk through that and be involved in the business. Because again, back to how much you can do these days. I mean, we can talk about AI, Industry 4.0, the vision systems, Internet of Things, and how you can connect your manufacturing floor together now. I think that the opportunities are there so much now where those ideas and the way to move business forward in the future, I think, is really kind of reversed from what it has been of sales and ops sitting down and go, okay, here's what the customers want, here's where our capabilities are, but here's where our capabilities can be.
For sure.
And can you get those capabilities perhaps even out in front of what the customer wants? Because, and that is I did a little bit of sales in the back, selling software, but the challenger sale, if you can bring to a customer something that they don't even know they need yet, but you're leading them, okay, we can satisfy your immediate need, here's your demand, but here's what our team behind the scenes has come up with. Now all of a sudden you're bringing to them real innovation. You're turning thoughts to them, and that's, I think, how bigger, longer sales business relationships can take place.
100%. I think, side note, I think the magnitude of what you're talking when it comes to this, that process of the tidbit gummies, right? If you would have told me this candy company was going to be making gummies,
crazy.
Something that they're not even known for, right? But it stemmed from just to your point, having quality involved, giving people the reins to say, all right, what do we need? Yeah. And how can we accomplish that, right? Versus skipping those steps, because skipping those steps just creates a sticky situation.
But that only happens when we take, we have titles. Everybody has titles. I'm the VP or something. I'm the CEO. So there's things that are beneath me that I can't do because of the title that I have, right? But if you take that away and just treat people, like I said, his title was Vice President of Operation. He would walk in my office and say, this is what needs to happen. And I used to be like, okay, what is this? When, how? And he was like, I don't know. This is the conversation they're having. This is what needs to happen.
It's so common.
It's so common. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, when are we doing this? How are we planning this? What's going on? What's happening? Everything. But at least he gave me an opportunity the whole entire team so that we can put our inputs too. Even with engineering, when it came to like the kettles, the moving, the locations, and people were like, no, if you put it over here, because operations, they know how the system works. They live in that environment, so they were able to give the ideas and everything. So the turnaround was much shorter than anything. The only issue we had was with marketing, because marketing was way ahead in like, you know, the image, we need this, there's guidelines that we need to approve and all that kind of thing, which kind of happens, but they've already pre-approved all those packages before we could even make the product on our end. So we were not able to tweak things. So we had to like be like, okay, we can't, it says 6 ounce ain't gonna work. We have to do 3.5 ounce, you know, it's a little bit. So we had to like make tweaks, but that was way ahead. But in operations, I don't think we had as much hiccup or anything like that you would in naturally when you're bringing too many people in the same room. I think, and it takes the leaders in leadership roles to actually understand that, yeah, I am responsible for everybody in this room, but I also want to give the capabilities of people to actually share their ideas, because nobody knows it all the time. So I think that's the one beautiful thing that I could take away from Alex, I would say. I didn't want to use names, but you know,
I'm sorry.
He would come in every time he came. I was like, okay, what is this? Where is this coming from? He's like, this is 3 months, 4 months. Like, we'll come up with ideas in our project production. And what was it called? New product development. Just throw ideas. We'll go through the whole process. It might end up being something, or it might not end up being anything. But ultimately, we had the discussions. We knew what the loopholes were going to be, how we're going to go around it, and everything like that too as well. So.
Back to the point before, though, like how do leaders help organizations grow, help individuals grow? That's part for the course right there. It's like, how do you tap into people's potential? If you give them the opportunity to, again, very much theory Y of management, not theory X, but if you give them opportunity to, and you have the right folks on your team, they're going to want to do that. Those are like my favorite meetings when the boss gets us into a room and is like, here's what we got to do. And you're like, all right, let's figure this out. Like, let's throw it on the whiteboard. Let's think, let's do some research. Let's Google it. We used to say, let's Google it. Now you're running through like 5 different AI systems. Like, what are you
like? Where's this? That makes sense. We gotta have a medium now.
Yeah, no, that talks to the how is that culture of leadership, and how does the information get shared to everybody to be able to have the chance to partake in those things. You know, whether it's only through digital means because people are segmented or in different locations, or if it's in person, actually there, you know, discussing all these things. I think those points absolutely matter because it can affect people differently.
I think it probably differs in digital and physical. Like if you're making physical goods versus digital goods, like
absolutely,
we can separate there perhaps to define those lines, but it's always go see. It's always go look at the space, go look at the machinery, get your hands on it, touch, feel, 3D print. Sorry, I showed the whole thing. But I think those are the, you know, how can you iterate quickly through physical representations of it? And same thing with the folks that you're working with, and how can you turn ideas into physical reality as quick as possible?
That's good. That's really good. That was good. I do have a question. I want to ask this one because I'm just interested to understand, like, so, like, what's the wildest unexpected issue you've ever solved?
Solved?
And unsolved,
We've heard the worst of the worst.
We've heard a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know. What have you heard?
Not specifically about you.
The wildest situation.
He's thinking about this one.
Or even I would say like a no good deed goes unpunished, where you're doing it's something good that you had in mind. It's like and you did it and then it backfired or something like that. I just think
that works better. It was the same one I was coming to, but compliance FDA warning letter, pathway built, warning letter resolved, rebuilt quality, retooled it entirely, brought in, you know, the right folks, built the team, and by the way, the leading punchline on this FDA warning letter was management has not provided the resources into the quality unit needed in order to be compliant. So like literally like off the top of the FDA regulations of what the business and being, this is a pharmaceutical industry. So Yeah, you get to that point, you're like, okay, well, we're literally not complying with the first step. We have not resourced the business well enough. Okay, let's do that. Now, bringing the people that can solve the more fundamental problems with that. We did it. We escaped it. Only to literally be removed from the role. A different leader brought in, and they ended up with a consent decree, warning letter, basically red taping the place and shutting it down.
Whoa.
Can't explain why. Obviously, like there's greater business strategy above that. At least I assume led to that. But it was almost like a situation of we were doing too good that we had to remove it, and that was shocking to everybody involved. And in a situation where we had turned it around, we were performing every balanced metric you could see in the book, was performing. We were delivering new products. We were on time. We were in full. We had reduced inventory. We had delivered on all and in compliance now, where the FDA's good graces. And, well, as good as you can be given the situation we were in. And we were still best friends. They visited very frequently. And then to have that change occur was very... You asked about what was wild. I think that came as a shock to everybody involved as to, wait a minute. And then subsequently cutting the resources and quality, changing the whole culture of the business in a way that was, in my professional opinion, I think, potentially hazardous to human health. And that's what makes it wild to me, is how can you make decisions that lead to potential adverse events or otherwise because of that. So I don't know. Without going into the details, it's like why would you, as a business leader, want to do that unless it was an intentional, like, we want this place to be shut down, we want them to fail. That situational.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good deed goes on the situation right there.
That's exactly what it was.
And I think that's a good segue here too, because just to piggyback off of that, we've done a few things within our services to different client sites with hopes of this is a good gesture, they're gonna love it. And just a case in point here. We used to wipe people's desks off, clean it off and stuff like that, and we went above and beyond and grabbed mugs, because they would leave it out, and we would wash it, bring it back, put it upside down on a paper towel or something like that, and one day we ended up getting a letter written out to us saying, "Hey, I get it, but please don't touch my mug ever again." Ouch.
Question mark.
And then we stopped completely. Not as crazy as that, but
I think that was at the same place.
Yeah, that definitely was many years ago.
No, I think from like a business standpoint,
we were learning.
We've been caught up in a similar situation when the FDA is involved. Customers we've had
Tell one story about that one bakery.
Like the QA manager was let go. Audit is coming. And then, unbeknownst to them, FDA shows up the same day as the auditors are coming in. And it was unannounced. They both showed up Monday morning. So we are home with the kids, and everybody's like, "Oh, you get a phone call. FDA is here. The SQF people are here too as well." So now we had to step in to try to fill the gap a little bit. And I think that's what one thing that I think over all this trial and errors that we've actually done with every customer, we kind of figured out how to do it and then be able to be successful all the time too as well. Is kind of tell them, wait a minute, make sure the FDA is in a room, SQF in a room, don't put them in the same.
As a third party.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, as a third party. So we have to navigate through all that, be on the production floor, be able to come across as we work with the employees, we're there and speak on behalf of the company itself and show them the processes, and it takes a lot for us just to learn that and be able to present it and then get the buy-in from the FDA or SQF and say, you guys have nice, amazing programs. We can see it. We see how things are happening. Even though the customer believes otherwise, all the work that we're doing on the production floor and everything, they are like a little bit skeptical. But I think it's good to get validated by other people that come in and they see what we do too as well. So that's wild to me and crazy, but it's a good thing. Yeah.
He's cleaning consultants, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
Oh, and let me add more to that too. Not specific to that situation, but just as we continue to evolve ourselves within the business, obviously early on getting an opportunity, commercial janitorial, yeah, we can do that. Another different opportunity, yeah, we can do it. Let's try it. And throughout the whole navigation of the journey, it's like we eventually learned that food manufacturing is our core throughout that process. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a few gems that you gave us as we were transitioning through a lot of these phases, with the acronym being E. Originally was for, it's actually
Eliminate, originally.
E for eliminate, right?
But everybody knows you cannot eliminate anything in food. you can only mitigate the risk, right?
Exactly. So for that sake, you were like, I think it makes more sense for you guys to be educated because you guys educate a lot.
Education.
We rebranded really.
So we're trying to slow down in the future, okay? If we make it big one day,
Don't call it saying that.
Oh, man.
I think ultimately to that point too as well, COVID was pretty interesting. It was wow, not for business specifically, but just the learning that came along with that. And I think one of the biggest things we took from that overall is like we used to have meetings on the side with Jason. Jason will find time, we'll come out, we'll have these powwows, and he's like, you guys do a lot of time. You spend a lot of time educating people, right? Like literally. So it's like we changed the acronym from eliminate to educate. Like it was interesting because like it's true. Like when we're at these customers' facilities and sites, like we're literally like educating them.
Bringing the processes.
It's craziness.
All of that.
And it helps. So you can talk through things and make the customer feel at ease, right? Not just because you're blowing smoke, it's like you actually know what you're talking about. So that helps you know what you're talking about, right? So it's really interesting. So a lot of education, and point is you were the driving factor for that when it comes to just that change, right? Because we're already doing it. It's just a matter of calling it out.
Well, I think, and going back to like early in my career, in all my careers probably, but you look up and you look around and you're like, okay, people have lofty titles or CEOs, presidents, and VPs, and you're like, okay, they know everything. Like you put them on a pedestal, and this could be big organizations, small companies, but I love small, medium-sized businesses, and the reality is like there's so much that people don't know. You might be the VP finance, and you could have zero clue what happens back in operations. There's just so much unknown, and I think that's flipping it around from like what I said earlier of like, or Bob, but like changing that script into like, okay, it's actually my responsibility to help others learn and to recognize those opportunities throughout any business and career. Like, okay, how do you approach this from a learning perspective? Because people are going to make mistakes. It's just like the kids. Like go ahead and fail. Like that's how we're going to learn. You got to give that space again for that to learn, but also providing that like the learning mentality. And what's that? The learning organization, right? Peter Senge. And it's how do you create an environment of learning? And I think that's something I've always strived to do in any business I've been in. It's like, let's get a learning system in place. It's not just training. Like everybody can read an SOP, but how are we actually learning? Does everybody learn by reading an SOP? Probably not. I guarantee you they don't. They got to go get their hands on it. They got to think about it. Maybe they don't learn by reading at all. Maybe they need to be verbally told. People learn different mediums. I'm a poor verbal learner, so I'd rather read, go do whatever it is, but meeting people where they are, right? I think that's super important, and is going to become even more important as we move forward because there's going to be a lot of gaps, a lot of change in manufacturing, a lot of gaps in businesses overall. And we can talk about some of those trends that are emerging, but as we'll talk a lot about AI, right? But I think it's important to do that. I see where the entry-level positions are being talked about, how like that's going to be eliminated. And I think that's really scary. Yeah. If we take out this bottom layer, the bottom of the pyramid, and you go, okay, these positions are no longer needed because AI can just do it. Okay, but those are the folks that are going to move to the next level. And if you don't know how to add and subtract, how are you going to divide and multiply? Yeah. How are you going to do algebra, calculus, all this other stuff down the road if we never learn to add and subtract? And I think that's something that's going to be really a big challenge as we begin to rely on these artificial intelligence, large language models to perhaps do things that other people could have done, those people aren't going to develop the same way. And that's going to be a major change across not just manufacturing, but all industries in general as a whole.
But I think where we lose knowledge is those little people, the bottom ones. Those actually, like, they're at the bottom of the pyramid for a reason, because they're holding everything else up.
Bingo.
But if you really look at it through audit, what do they look at? The details about things. And who's doing the details? Those are the people that are actually putting the data points and everything like that to actually support what the manager's actually doing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we do in just corporate world is, like, when we hire somebody, a vice president or a manager, let's say, at a production facility, we do not take the time to actually go on the floor before we come up with these amazing ideas. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. This is why I'm going to do it. This is what I know. So the idea is, everybody who's been here, you guys don't know anything, so you have to follow what I'm telling you. This is the only way. But I think where we lose people, where we lose things is, like, you're coming into an environment, learn it first, understand what the difficulties are, then pull back and look at it and say, this is what I can change. Challenge people, why do you do this?
Yeah.
How come this is happening versus that? I think we lose that a lot. And I think even directors that I've worked with or anything like that, sometimes they'll come in and say, change this. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That really doesn't apply to our environment that we actually do it.
Yeah.
Hormel was one of the companies that we dealt with that actually came in, sorry, no name dropping, but here we go. But seriously, they have a quality department that when they came in, it was environmentals. This is how you do it. This is what I want. I was like, okay, that's an amazing policy that you have, but it can be replicated into our processes. Like, in this environment, that does not happen. But I'll give you, this is how we can manipulate that program to fit our environment. And then it's going to be able to give you the same result. And that was so difficult for them to understand. And it was like, no, this is what I want. But I'm like, okay, now I have to put up a show to give you what you want, but in actuality, it doesn't do anything when it comes to food safety. And I think that's the difficult thing about things, when we have processes and people are coming in, we share amazing ideas, but we don't take the time to actually look, hey, does it apply to the environment that you came into?
Seek to understand, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
100%.
So, Jason, to be clear, you just made a bold prediction here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, robots are coming.
No.
Yeah.
They're here.
The pyramid, and
You are a robot.
the rule is my foundation, the pyramid, and I think that's important. That's a real thing, and we're gonna see how things transpire here. But just know, you made it first
Yeah.
here on East. What's that?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That's a joke. Don't cut that out too. All right.
But that's true, though. I think even relying on the robots, if you look at it too, let's go. The first place they started initiating this is like grocery stores. When we go right now, they eliminated the cashiers, and you have the self-checkout. We have issues with self-checkout where they're stealing. People are stealing, like scanning the wrong things and stuff like that. Companies are losing money. It was an amazing idea trying to save some. Taking a body out, now you're gonna save, but people are actually scheming the system that way.
Yeah.
On top of that, if something breaks, you're standing there, who can help me? Nobody can help you, so you're like, I'll pick up my stuff and go to, So it's kind of, the thought process hasn't been there 100%. That's why they haven't eliminated anything, but I think it's coming, it's trying to figure out, like, are we ever gonna have a robot? Yes.
Full circle.
That's gonna do everything? We'll see.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that goes to say too, it's just like a single source fix it all situation. Sometimes that's not reality,
Yeah.
right? You need to be able to house and coordinate and make things talk with one another, whether you use AI for one specific thing or a couple, and then interject the human aspect of it and have that be communicating between all parties. There has to be something that meshes it all together in an ecosystem overall.
It's just weird. I mean, I love technology and studied it and looked at it for years and years, and it's one of those. Now we're at the point where for years we've been told, oh, the robots are coming, and they're coming for the front lines. They're going to replace workers on the manufacturing floor, and that might be applicable in some industries more than others, right? Like auto industry, there's a lot of but even there, it's a lot of automation. So it's how can this robot or not even a robot, but this piece of machinery assist a human in doing their job safer, easier. I think that's with AI the same thing, where there's a lot of hype right now. It's gonna replace everybody. Nobody's we're not even gonna have musicians in a few years because it's all just gonna be AI music. And it's like, well, no.
It's happening, right?
I know. It's actually really good. It's actually really
You don't
good.
have to.
But at the same time, it's like fire, right? Okay, fire can burn you, and fire can also help cook food. Fire can keep you warm. It's how are we going to use this piece of technology, fire is technology, how are we going to use that to supplement and actually help the humans be better at their jobs? I think that's really where we're going to see the rise. And I'm working with my team a lot right now to do that. Like, how can you take some of that thinking capacity, do something in maybe 5 minutes that would have taken you an hour before. Give it some information and let it produce a presentation for you, or make a write-up, provide a CAPA because it knows what to do. You give it a little piece of information. It's just going to make that faster, simpler, better. Or it can play, I like to, I was reading about this, instead of prompt engineering, it's like context engineering. So you can almost like create a character. Like we can create an Abdi. We can create somebody that like, okay, now I can trade and bounce things off of you. And I like to do it across different systems just to compare them right now. But if you can create context, now all of a sudden you have a character that's going to like, you can talk to, you can trade information with, and it'll get better. It'll learn what you want out of it as well. I think that's what's really going to emerge. I look at quality as one of the main areas where I think it's going to have a big impact in manufacturing.
Almost like an alter ego.
Nice thought.
Yeah, alter ego. There you go.
Nice thought.
Test my ideas, right? Or like, tell me this is wrong, or do this research for me. Like I was looking up vision systems and trying to understand costs, and okay, give me a bunch of like industrial robots and tell me who's going to be cheap, not just cheap, cost effective. But what's reasonable, right? Because like we talk about what not like a full blown industrial robot, but a cobot. In those cobots, even to teach, a simple task of like, okay, I'm going to pick this up and move it over here. They'll still run 40 grand, 40 grand off the pop. And you need to have somebody that can maintain them. So, okay, we're going to put 4 cobots on this line that are going to pick up a jar and move it over here and put it in a box. Cool. But now you need to have somebody that understands that technology, can maintain it, can service it.
Can do PMs.
Can do PMs, exactly. And you're still talking about the capital investment wise up front. If you're just to say we put 4 people in here to pack out a box or pack out a case, that's $160,000 up front of capital expense that needs to go into it. That's a different ball game now. Nobody knows that proof of concept. Who else is doing it? Well, nobody. Like you're gonna be out front doing those things, and I don't know if that's really the right mix.
We at one of the bread companies that we all worked at, we used to have like 16 people scoring bread back to back, right? Eliminated all of them, got a robot in.
Cut their hands every day.
Oh my God. Like it was breaking, stopping, going, making a mess. And so it took us a while just to actually maintenance, try to like understand it. Try to tweak it, move it, why is this breaking, what's causing it and everything like that. So I think it's funny how people say history repeats itself. It's actually happening right now, even like from the instance where like the internet was introduced, computer system and everything like that. There's a huge gap. Now AI right now, I think we're going to be on the back end of it. Little kids are learning it much faster than us who are in the field and trying to use it too as well. So there's always going to be that gap of trying to like getting caught up. It's typing things. The baby boomers didn't have that capability, so a new generation came in and tried to sweep them up. So it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of happening all over again.
And the models are moving so quickly. Like Gemini just leapfrogged a lot of people at Google's Gemini. That just jumped massively, like probably about ChatGPT now. I use Grok a lot. I use Perplexity a lot for like more like technical writing. But now you see like the speed at which the models are moving as well is so exponential that what we're talking about today could be something completely different next month. I was laughing. There's a textbook that gets used for teaching people AI at all the big schools. And I'm like, that's so funny to me that there's a textbook to teach AI right now, because there's no way. There's no way you could teach that, because it's literally writing history every month. Every week there's a new release that drops. You're like, whoa, this is like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And the next week there's another one. You're like, okay. Like how can, like, where do you put the flag in the ground or write a textbook on that?
No, we're sorry, that's good job.
No, it's crazy.
We're making a stone tablet. We're going to make a stone tablet.
Oh man,
that's true. Super true for sure.
So tell us before we get to the closing of the podcast here, we haven't had a chance to even touch a little bit about this right here that we all got on the top of our domes here.
Minnesota? The Minnesota beer?
Yeah. What's all that about here? What's all that about? How did that come about? And
Oh, that's my midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Some people buy a Corvette.
Something interesting. But I have to say this. 2013, Jason told me he was going to buy a brewery one day. He loved microbrewing, and I remember vividly having this conversation in the office. He called it. This is no bullshit. I'm gonna say the word bullshit because I would dare anybody to try to call me on it because I know for a fact. And years later, go ahead and tell the story, please. It's important.
No, it'd be like buying a Corvette and understanding that there was like a little Hugo or something underneath the hood, because entrepreneurship is everything. People are like, oh, you're living the dream. Like, oh, you own a brewery. And it's like, oh, it's the most challenging thing you could ever imagine. I mean, this is, if anybody knows the microbrewery scene right now, it's not great. Like there's a diminished amount of beer drinking in general. So that's a macro trend that's impacting the industry. We've got hemp beverages that were mistakenly licensed and approved or made legal. Now they're reversing course on all of that, and that is like, that's going to shut breweries down. Like they're especially in Minnesota. I mean, it's extremely difficult to have that reposition. I think we're about 3 years into when that happened, and they got the carpet yanked. It should be done next year now. That's scary. I mean, there are people that invested heavily into that line of business, and they're going to be done. I've always tried to approach it from like a beverage manufacturer. We produce a little bit of the cannabis beverages. I'd like to make soda someday. We sell kombucha, but yeah, I don't know. I wanted to, at a certain point, put my money where my mouth is, and I wanted to try to take a lot of the lessons that I'd learned in corporate life, a lot of lean management, a lot of putting people first. One of my purposes I found is to help others reach their potential. And we're sitting here, I was sitting at home, just sitting there, but this is the middle of COVID. This is like being trapped in the basement during COVID, working remotely, and ended up parting ways with the company. And I sat there and I'm like, I can't go do. I didn't want to apply for other jobs at the time. And I looked at my wife, and she'd known me for many years. Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble for not knowing exactly when that was, but
that part.
But she also your 2013 or whatever timeline is in my head. But she also knew that I always wanted to do that as well. And I looked at her and I said, "What if I'm on a brewery that's for sale right now?" She's like, "Go ahead." Famous last words. Go ahead, get it out of your system. Well, like 2 weeks later, I had an offer in, found a cool little place, very much like pub style tap room, neighborhood style. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because not actually no ego at all. It was the community. I was sitting in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I was watching our communities getting torn apart, one by COVID, because everybody's not able to get together and do this. This is like, this is, I don't know, illegal is the right word, but we couldn't do this for a while. We couldn't get it together and talk. We had a Zoom call and stuff.
It was nuts.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting there going through that, and then we had multiple round. We had the, for lack of a better term, George Floyd incident and riots here in the cities, and I'm like, okay, it made me very upset, and this still reigns supreme to this day. It made me very upset that our leaders in this community were not on the front lines. They weren't out front, and I felt very strongly that. We can name them, I guess. Tim Walls, Jacob Fry, and these other folks, Melvin too. They weren't out there by the 3rd precinct talking to people. What can we do? We don't need this to escalate. We don't need this. And it went completely haywire. And that bothered me. And so I like, what can I do? I can sit here and talk about it. I can look up top and be like, those people aren't doing the thing that they should be doing. And I was like, okay, what if change is needed? I knew very strongly that coffee, I love coffee as well, coffee and then bars. The coffee houses and bars are where revolutions were. That's where community came together and people talked and we traded ideas. And they were safe places where maybe we're 3 beers in and we're like, all right,
Get ready down now.
or maybe there's a lot of caffeine involved as well.
We're either gonna talk it out or we're gonna just do a little and then get back together again.
So that to me was the purpose behind it. Like, how can we? And I found a great place on the west side of St. Paul where it's community based, and it's taken 4 years. We're 4 years into it or so now, a little bit over that, and we're still building. I feel more. It takes so dang long. It took way longer than I thought it was going to be. And part people, part just things take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I've seen now where it's like, okay, culturally, community-wise, we're more engaged with the community than we've ever been before. The means by which we go, we have all these different clubs that come in. We got travel club, we got a book club, we got working with Open Arms, working with the neighborhood house and other like members in the community, groups in the community to make a difference and provide a safe place for those conversations to happen. And yes, that involves beer, but beer is the beverage, the place
good beer too.
So
Yeah.
I feel
we worked with
good about
breweries.
it. It's a very, very hard,
Yeah.
very hard industry. And I honestly feel lucky that we're still in business with the way things have turned out. I really thought that on the back end of COVID, there was a little bit, but there'd be a resurgence of that desire to like go out and be together. But macro industry trends, younger people not drinking as much and doing that, I think those things have all impacted the craft beer industry to a great deal. So we're fighting. And I guess at the end of the day, like people ask me how it's going on, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're fighting every day. We're scrapping every day, every week. You look at the results. This week has been slow. It's been snowing, below zero, like every hurdle you can possibly have, right? Like, gotta love Minnesota, but it's like we're still in the fight, and that's what matters. And you wake up and you go, okay, what are we gonna do today to make a difference? Like, how can we work with groups of people? And I love it. I don't know. Like, I always feel really most grateful when I see like we've had a brewer move on to a higher level thing. Love food trucks. I'm a huge burger fiend, but like we've had numerous food trucks get their start at Wabasha Brewing, and then they go on and like some of them have brick and mortars now. Some of them, I mean,
awesome.
it's just. And that's not nothing for us,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
they're literally their first gig, or like we have people. I don't talk about this, but like they're like just doing pop-ups like in our side room, like they have a grill, they have an idea, and they got passion, and they make killer food, and you're like, okay, cook that food, like make sure you're licensed appropriately, like, but they don't even have a food truck, like they have nothing, and they're just working on passion, and like, and then like 3 months later they got a food truck, and then you see them booking out other places, and you're like, yes, that's what it's about. Like, how can you help others reach their potential, provide a space and a platform for that to happen? So that's what Wabasha is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
a beautiful story.
All that came full circle, man. I'll tell you that. Even with us, that one little opportunity turned into a lot of bigger things over here. And to add to that, the fact that you mentioned assisting other people kind of grow their business and stuff like that with the brewery. We've been able to assist other businesses start up and also get to a point where they can sustain and thrive as well. And we're paying it for. That's literally what it's about right there.
We got some great folks. I'm going to give them a shout out here at
Please do.
Back Pocket Vintage. I want to expand my tap room, so we ended up owning the real estate, and it's so hard for me to talk about stuff like that for some reason. I don't know. It's that imposter syndrome, right? But for years, I'd wanted to expand the tap room. We looked at that. The costs associated with it were awful. I'm like, I can't put $250,000 into a new HVAC system. Like, that's just, there's no return on that investment.
Yeah.
So we ended up refinishing the floors, refinishing the room, and we had a vintage shop that was doing pop-ups in little markets. We do little markets with the community, and they're like, hey, we asked them, would you ever be interested in doing, brick and mortar? And they're like, yeah, we're just operating out of like a storage space. They've got full-blown store. It's so amazing. Go check them out. It's Back Pocket Vintage over on the west side. It's an amazing little space, and I got, emotions, but secondhand feedback came through my wife, but like I didn't know how much of a difference that had made for them. That like 2-3 months in, I heard that this was a game changer for them, that they had that extra income. They're living their dream of having this vintage thrift store. I thought it was just a side hobby. Here I am just like, I have the space, the means by which to facilitate something like that happening. I feel so grateful, and they're doing a great job over there.
That's
And
amazing.
again, that's I think just it means the world to do that. And whether or not in the grander scheme of things that like the brewery wins and all that, none of that financially, right? Like honestly, like none of that matters as compared to the impact that like you can have on human lives. I think that's the greatest success.
That's huge. We definitely gotta go check it out because I haven't been in a little while.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But definitely that's super cool, and that's what it's about right there. You know, giving people the opportunity to, you know, like you said, live their dream and really take that hobby or potential side hustle to make it a thing, right? And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good way to actually leave your footprint behind. Like years to come, people will talk about like, oh, you know, this is how it started and everything. Like that's huge, really. It's not about like you. It's just a matter of like how much impact you've had within that community too as well. Because it goes beyond them because people are coming to them and they're expanding. And now you've given an opportunity to others who just for a place for them to actually come to. That's amazing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We've done a lot of things wrong and messed up, but like, those are the good stories that all we come for, right? It's like silly mistakes you make, but in the end, it's like, this is why. Remember the why. I think that's a big thing of like, remember the why. And for you guys too, like with these, it's like, what was the original reason? What was the purpose? It wasn't to line Raji's pockets of money, right? Like
Everybody think Raji got nothing.
but I think that's a challenge to other people to remember as well. And I'll just say, like, whether it's employees or the people, like, I've been typecast as somebody that, you know, you're an entrepreneur, you own a business, you own a brewery, you must be rich. You must have all this. And it's like, don't think that way. Remember that like there's small businesses out there, and especially right now when the economy's kind of tough, we got lots of impact throughout all layers. But remember that those small businesses out there, they need you. They need you to come there and spend time there. We want you to come in. I know the cost of a pint of beer is more expensive than it was 10 years ago. So is everything else. But go support small businesses. Because those are real people with real money invested, money, time, sweat, blood.
Tears.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff really matters, and I can't proselytize more than that. Just remember that like there's people at the back end of that, and not everybody's perfect, right or wrong, whether you have the same beliefs or think the same way. But at the end of the day, like people are putting their lives on the line to make those things happen. I think that gets lost behind in a lot of this day and age when you can sit and throw barbs on the internet through people and talk smack with no consequences. It's like at the end of the day, like these are real people that are just trying to make it for themselves, trying to make it for their children, for their families, for the name, and the righteous ones, you know, for the community too.
Yeah.
Like people forget that like and I'll speak just from the brewing industry, but like when a brewery closes down, that community loses something. That community loses that place, and it's more than just the beer. I promise you, it's more than beer. So go support small businesses, especially during the winter and the hard times like this and this cold weeks like this. Everybody's business gets hurt. Shout out to Heights Pizza Man, by the way. If anybody knows that dude out on Facebook, like he runs his mouth a lot, but like there's somebody with a huge heart out there running a pizza joint in Columbia Heights, and like. He's trying to do the right thing, and he's just leading through. He's giving a ton of food away. I just really heart goes out to those folks that are just trying to do good in the community. That's what small business and business should all be all about.
That's awesome. Jason, you want to drop the address for Wabasha Brewing Company? So
we are on this is good. We're on the west side of St. Paul. That is not West St. Paul.
To be clear,
this is the west side, which is actually south of the river.
Right.
Okay, all right, so it's south of downtown St. Paul. But no, we're on the west side of St. Paul, 429 Wabasha Street South. We're about a mile away from Excel, so we love, we got free parking. It's a great place to park. I wouldn't necessarily walk to the game when it's, -0, but I always tell people it's a cheaper Uber ride downtown than it is to, pay for parking down there. So come check us out over on the west side. It's a great little place, and I guarantee you'll enjoy your stay. It's a very quaint neighborhood pub style place. Hyga, or Huga. What's that? HYGGE. That's the name of the safe, comfortable place.
So one last question for you before we close out. Future predictions from a technology perspective.
Yeah. Everybody should be dabbling in AI right now. Have some fun with it. Use it personally. Like I said before, like view it as a personal assistant. They call them agents or whatever. Like there's so much vernacular being thrown around. Vibe coding. I mean, new words are being christened every day right now. So, but use it understand it, and see how you can best apply and shape that to your life. I think specifically in manufacturing, lesser of an impact than ever anticipated from specifically AI, but I'm reading the questions up here. What will reshape manufacturing next decade? The places that I've seen still really need to implement the Internet of Things. Sensors are so cheap, cameras, and then like the vision systems, and it's gonna be really scary because like we're gonna be monitoring like safety. We're gonna be monitoring people, and like don't be afraid of cameras. Like unless you're doing stupid stuff, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, right? But that plant of the future, sensors everywhere, cameras everywhere, motion tracking. Like I love lean, and I think of like all the excess motion. The plant that I work at right now, I take my team up to the second level and look down and talk about troop movement. I said, if a line goes down, I want you guys to watch how long it takes that team to disengage, task switch, and move over somewhere else. Because they're like, oh, it's probably like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, let's go watch. We went up there and watched. It was 45 minutes. I'm like, even if we get that down to a half hour, right? But we're talking about 10, 20 people, troop movement, move it over here. We went up and we got this vantage point and we can see down onto the factory floor up on this mezzanine we have. But think of the same thing if you're able to do that from a manager or supervisor's perspective without the assistance, without your time going into it, because you've got a camera watching and tracking. They're already doing it in Target and every retail store, right? I was watching yesterday, some dude got arrested because of gait analysis, GAIT, gait analysis. This is one of the January 6th guys. God, we don't need to do politics, but like how people walk, like cameras can analyze and they know like how you're walking and they can actually track your identity that way, even better than facial recognition. So facial recognition was one thing. People were very scared of that. Now it's like, no, actually walking is more. Somebody that walks pretty weird. Yeah. My gait analysis, like that's definitely Vastine right there. But those are the two pieces of technology I think are going to be very important to us. We'll be able to have predictive maintenance, and like AI will have a bigger impact on supply chain. But specifically, like in that production manufacturing sector, I think that there's strong plays. Get sensors everywhere. Line your entire lines with it. Every little piece, every PLC can be plugged in. So how do you get that data up off the floor and into managers' hands? And then over the top of that is when we can start applying AI, because that's where we can start to sift through all that data, collect it, get it cleaned up. Don't throw people at that. Let AI do that trick for you. And then in the quality world too. I think, writing a bunch of quality systems over the years, like being able to take, I have an SOP from food manufacturing, but that same SOP can apply to my current business. How can I rewrite that? Well, feed that into the system, and I think it will kick out a pretty good thing. So those would be the two areas, I think.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great, for sure.
Well, Jason, thank you very much for coming out and joining us today. This was a full circle moment for all of us here. We appreciate your time and sharing your story and your journey and your career journey and everything like that, and talking about your brewery as well. We hope to have
West Side Popper.
Yeah, we hope to have more times like this with other people within the industry and even local entrepreneurs as well. We appreciate your time, and we look to have this up.
I'd love to come back some other time again too. I mean, we
can have a segment to this. Rest assured, for sure.
We need to fill in guest on it.
We can definitely do that. So it could have gotten deeper in so many different ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Jason. And until next time, my friends.
Make sure you guys go visit.
Make sure you go visit Wabasha Brewing Company.
Support.
Yeah.
Tip your bartenders.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's real.
There you go.
Don't be cheap.
Tip your bartenders.
And for the guests out there, we hope that you took away something from the gems that were discussed here. And we look to have another guest on and another episode up. So until next time, my friends, always remember to capture the moment. Peace.
Peace.